So, when you hear the name Cartier, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Dazzling diamonds, right? Maybe those iconic watches? Yeah, for sure. But what if I told you the real value of a Cartier piece? It isn't just measured in carats, it's measured in stories. Today, we're going to dig into why this legendary brand is, honestly, way more of a cultural institution than just some luxury jeweler.
I mean, this quote from King Edward VII, way back in the early 1900s, it pretty much says it all. But, it wasn't just him giving them a compliment. It was more like a prophecy. See, Cartier was already the go-to jeweler for royalty, and this statement just cemented a legacy that's still going strong today.
Okay, but a reputation like that, it doesn't just happen overnight. It was forged, piece by piece, over decades of serious ambition and, you guessed it, innovation.
And that's the big question, right? How did this one little shop in Paris become the jeweler to pretty much all of the world's royalty? Well, the answer is a story about a family that was absolutely determined to take their craft and share it with the entire world.
See, this empire was built over generations. It all started back in 1847 with Louis-François Cartier. Then his son Alfred, he took over and made a really smart move, focusing on the new big thing, wristwatches. But the real game changers, they were Alfred's three sons, Pierre, Louis, and Jacques. These guys are the ones who took the brand global, opening up those iconic stores everywhere from London to New York and turning a family business into a true international powerhouse.
And their success wasn't just about opening more shops. It was about brilliant, totally era-defining design. You take the Santos watch. It was one of the very first practical wristwatches. And then there's the tank watch from 1917. Get this. It was literally inspired by the look of military tanks on the battlefield. And of course, they always delivered for the royals. I mean, they made over 24 tiaras just for King Edward's coronation alone. Just think about that.
But here's the thing. The real secret to Cartier's value, it's not just in the gems or the gold. It's in the absolutely incredible stories that are attached to their most famous pieces. And this is where those crazy price tags start to make a different kind of sense.
Okay, let's look at this piece right here, the Panther bracelet. It was made for one of the most, let's say, controversial women of the entire 20th century, Wallis Simpson.
So at auction, this thing fetched a world record $7 million. $7 million! Now look, it's a stunning bracelet, no doubt, but what on earth could make it worth that much money?
It all comes back to the story. This bracelet, it was the symbol of the scandalous love affair that literally forced a king to give up his throne. So you see, you're not just buying a bracelet. You're buying a piece of a modern fairy tale that went totally wrong. This is where you can literally see history becoming part of the jewelry itself.
All right, next up, we've got a necklace that's famous not just for who owned it, but for the absolutely wild journey of its main feature. This is the La Peregrina. And this one sold for a staggering $11.8 million. Why? Well, once again, you guessed it, the price tag is all about the story behind it.
So check this out. The pearl at the center of this thing has a 500-year history. It was worn by Spanish queens. Then, fast forward to 1969, and Richard Burton buys it as a gift for Elizabeth Taylor. But here's the best part of the story. The only reason she had Cartier design the necklace was because she found her puppies chewing on the priceless pearl. Seriously, you can't make this stuff up.
Okay, now for the real heavy hitter. We're not talking about diamonds or pearls this time. We're talking about something even rarer, imperial jadeite.
This necklace right here is the most expensive Cartier piece ever sold at auction. It went for an absolutely unbelievable $27.4 million.
So its owners included people like the ridiculously wealthy Woolworth heiress Barbara Hutton. But the legend attached to it is what makes it truly priceless. The story goes that another owner, Princess Nina Medavni, actually hid the necklace under her deathbed to keep it safe from debt collectors. I mean, that kind of myth and mystique, you just can't buy that. Except, well, apparently for $27.4 million you can.
And finally, let's talk about a piece so magnificent, its value isn't even measured in dollars anymore. It's measured by the fact that it's gone. This is the Patiala necklace.
So why priceless? Simple. Because you literally cannot buy it. And the reason why is a story of just incredible loss.
This was commissioned by an Indian Maharaja, and it was just loaded with almost 3,000 diamonds, including the 7th largest diamond ever recorded. But then, in 1957, It just vanished. Poof, gone. Decades later, it was found in a second-hand shop, of all places. But here's the tragic part. All the major stones were gone, stripped out. So its legend today is all about its incredible creation, its mysterious loss, and that kind of ghostly reappearance.
So, okay, those are the legends from the past. But what about today? Why does a brand new Cartier watch or bracelet still cost so much and, more importantly, hold its value so incredibly well?
Well, just look at the numbers from the last few years. While the rest of the luxury watch market actually went down by 30 to 40%, Cartier watches held firm. Some models, like the famous Tank, have even gone up in price. Now that kind of resilience just goes to show you how much people still want this brand.
And this value is really driven by a few key things. First, you've got the vintage effect. Pieces from the 80s and 90s, they're now considered vintage and their value is going up. Then you have market trends, like how experts are predicting a big comeback for yellow gold in 2025, which helps all those older pieces. And of course, the brand's timeless appeal is always getting a boost from modern royalty like Kate Middleton, who wears Cartier all the time.
So, when you pull it all together, what are you really looking at when you see a piece from Cartier?
It's this really powerful combination, you know. On one hand, you have the stuff you can touch, the flawless craftsmanship, the rarest materials on Earth, but then you have the stuff you can't touch, the sheer weight of history, the fact that it was worn by kings and movie stars, and more than 100 years of masterful brand building. That, right there, is the magic formula.
And that brings us to one last thought. When someone buys a piece of Cartier, they're not just buying an object. They're buying into a story that's already been told. And they're becoming a part of the one that hasn't been written yet. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What is the true price of history?